call, please.
Mr. Watkins?
Yes.
Mr. Albert? Mr. Carmine?
Yes.
Mr. Rush?
Yes.
Ms. Stryker?
Yes.
Join us in the Pledge of Allegiance. We have the approval or correction of the minutes of the September 26th meeting. Any motion?
Stryker?
You have a second?
Carmine.
Carmine, any comments or discussion? Not have a vote.
Mr. Carmine?
Yes.
Mr. Rush?
Yes.
Ms. Stryker?
Yes.
Mr. Watkins?
Yes. We don't have any students tonight. We have public participation. Mr. Collins.
Yeah, I did sign up ahead of time. I could have done the faculty side of
Thank you.
things. Oop, that's my copy.
Oh,
so
okay,
she-
that's all right. I'll take your
All
copy.
Um, wait to talk when I get up there. All right. So I was here approximately 3 years ago and presented the idea of the path around the farm ground east of the school, and I think Mark and Mark were here. So just kind of giving an update. I did put the reason for the path in there. I kind of discussed that. Mike Letty was the AD at the time. There's a definite need, and finally I got the right time of year. Last 2 springs, couldn't get on it before the farmer who was farming. This year, they couldn't get on it at all, so things have fallen into place where this thing is moving very quickly. Again, I shared the picture on the back of where the path is. I just finished Saturday, local farmers volunteering their equipment and time, Austin and Ashley Heil. Went over it extensively, except for picking up some rocks and maybe leveling it off in some spots. We're ready to put some grass seed in. I've gotten a huge amount of money for the seed. We also got a connection with Scott's to donate some seed, so we should have enough seed. Also got some, with the donations that I've collected, I'm also looking at signage to go around the field to keep whoever farms this ground. I know they have to cross the path. I'm not worried about crossing the path. I just don't want them tilling it and spraying it. So, you know, they will be crossing the path off of 114. They will be crossing, if you look to the east, that goes right along that natural waterway. They will have to cross that. But I will show some photos of, this was a few years back, of the farmer who farmed it. When they were taking off crops, they cut across Silver Street, right across the sidewalk, right across both curbs. So I would encourage the board to make sure there is something written in there that they must only use the entrance off of 114 to till or take off crops. I know this is a few years ago, and that's a little fuzzy, but there's where the sidewalk is, and we're lucky it didn't crack and crumble. I mean, there's some big equipment they were using. So that's why I'm here to give you an update and really have you consider, hey, what type of farmer do we want farming that? Obviously, you want the highest bid, but also we want someone who's going to be good stewards of what we want to use that property for in terms of a running path for our cross-country team. And Mrs. Deb Mans has started a running club with her 6th grade students, and it would be a great use for that. So another thing is I want to share also, Austin Heil has some amazing technology. I had no idea you can program with GPS his equipment, and he was literally going around the field without steering, completely steering. He could till or plant within 1 inch. So I was like, wow, that'd be great if we had someone farming that land who could get with 1 inch of that path and not ever have any issues with it. So that's pretty much all I have. If you have any questions.
One concern, you think, I think you think that you can seed that yet and get it established before the winter?
That's our goal, is to
Okay,
get it
'cause I think
established.
It's kind of getting late.
Kind of
to-
late, yeah.
For grass seed, I would say.
Well,
I
I've
mean,
got.
I want you to get it done, don't get me wrong. I
Okay.
support what you're doing. Yeah,
Well,
we
the
talked
other
about it a
thing
long
is
time
if I
ago.
don't get it done, Austin can also use his drone or even his GPS, and we can lay out the posts
Yeah,
and signs and have it marked.
then that's the other thing I was
That
saying.
will, that will happen. One of two things. If we don't get the seed in, we've got some nice days coming, but I know a week from now, it's not looking too good.
Yeah.
But we're gonna drill it in so it has some cover. But if we weren't able to get that done, we would be mapping out. And he can also, with that drone, figure up the exact acres that would be left for the contract.
And how soon can we get that? Because we need to
Yeah.
put our
How soon, okay, well, how soon it needs to be presented, or it goes out to bid,
And
what's
the
the date?
process is really, Rick, if you want to get with me, we'll get you through the committees to help with what the guidelines are. And then there's an athletic committee that actually works through facilities of what the needs are and design.
Okay,
And then there's 2 board members that sit on that committee. And then we will get with Tracy with the finance committee, which was the meeting before the board meeting tonight. And what they'll do then is help develop the contract and set up the guidelines for looking
Okay.
at the contract, which is what I think some of these pieces are that you wrote on the first
Right.
page. So
For the contract.
I would, if you want to even just get with me to let me know exactly what you need, then I can get with Tracy
Okay.
as far as how we bid that. Does that make sense?
right,
Because I think
All right.
you're exactly right that it's crucial that we bid it correctly
okay,
for the contracts and have it clear our expectations for
Very
maintaining
good.
that pathway. Does that make sense?
yes, that makes
So
total
if
sense.
you and I can work on that,
I-
I think that would be.
Yeah, I
really helpful.
apologize, I should have got on this sooner, but you can't plant grass in the summer because there's
No,
not
you're
enough
fine.
rain. And I'm one of those one-track people, I had, cross-country season coming up late fall, and of course, teaching. And so, but yes, I'll definitely look forward to working with you on getting that done.
Yeah, because tonight you're going to hear that the contract's coming up
Okay,
for the land. So you picked the right night.
okay,
But let's just make sure that the contract details are correct.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
sounds great.
And also, yeah, the marking of it, don't be shy about however many flags are.
Oh, don't worry, I priced out signs beside of signs to say what it is, and then I'm gonna just mark it out with those
Yeah.
smaller flags.
Yeah, that would be good. I think that helps.
And just,
Absolutely.
and go with that.
Yeah.
I mean, it's really a great area. I'm just so excited that we've had a lot of, and I should thank, we've had a lot of donors and support, so it's just been, it's exceeded my expectations, so.
We appreciate your work.
Yeah.
Well,
Make it
Thank
happen
you.
because our kids deserve a
I-
safe place to run.
Thank you. And I don't, I just do it for the sport and anybody who wants to take up running or walking. So appreciate it. Thank you.
Thanks, Rick.
Right. Moving on to reports of the treasurer. We need a motion.
Rush.
Second.
Stryker.
Striker, is there any questions or discussions about those reports?
You can see we're ahead of last year. That looks good.
Both the income tax and the property tax are slightly ahead, so that's always positive information.
Especially whenever you keep hearing, oh, you're gonna lose value, but we're
Yeah.
on the 20 mil floor, so
Right.
it's gonna get shifted, unfortunately, to the homeowners, away from the farmers in some
Yeah.
calculations.
Reevaluation, doesn't that take place next year, that reevaluation? Yeah. So, I don't know that it'll really affect the income that much. So. Okay, vote please.
Mr. Rush,
Yes.
Ms. Stryker,
Yes.
Mr. Watkins, Mr. Carmine.
Yes.
Moving on to superintendent's report.
We don't have a lot. I think we'll cover most of it in committee, but let's talk calamity and fog a little bit. So about timing when those things happen, because I always think we always need to remind ourselves when the school year starts and we start hitting weather. So 6 o'clock is really our cutoff when we have to make a decision before we send the buses out. Unfortunately, days like today, it doesn't roll in until about 6:30, and at that point, we can't call back. But at any point, if it ever becomes unsafe and a parent feels that it's not safe for their child to come to school, then as the parent, make sure that you're making that decision. You always have the right to make a decision based on the conditions when your child has to leave. And so if that occurs, that's what happens. When we have a delay, so we tend to make the call for 2-hour delays, or if we need to cancel around 6, the other timeline is around 8. So if there's actually a cancellation of school, or if, after the 2-hour delay, those decisions are made as late as possible as 8 o'clock. And so people wonder why schools can close later than we can. It's because the school districts start later than we do, and there are school districts around us that start earlier than we do, so their calls have to be made earlier. But usually what we try to say is between 6 o'clock for the first call and 8 o'clock for the second call, and that's as close as we can get. So that's our Calamity Day kind of call range. The other thing that you still haven't seen, and it's in draft form, it's almost complete, we were waiting on some last minute data, is the district report. So it's coming, it's 24 pages this year. It'll be a nice read for the weekend. But it will have a lot more data involved, and schools have been showcasing what they're doing academically and instructionally, and I think the report in the past has been weak in those pieces. So hopefully at the next board meeting we can walk through some of those parts. But the actual report should be coming out in the next week or so when it's finalized. And I think we're good if you just want to run through committee reports.
That's what we'll do. Start off with Finance Committee. We just met before
Yeah.
this meeting.
Yep, we just met before the meeting here. 4 things that we for discussion is, we are looking at replacing the wireless intercom system at the middle school. It's just a hard time right now for teachers to maybe get in contact with the office to get in contact with the teacher. So we are looking at moving forward with that. Also, Rick, the farm rental is up for bid here real soon. You'll see that in the paper. But yeah, get with Jennifer to get that information so we can make sure that we're putting the right stuff in the documents. Very, very important. Also, the Student Wellness and Success Fund, we did actually receive some money from that for this year. I think it was to the tune of $610. Is that what I remember right? 600.
We received half of the 610.
So we've received half of the 610 so far. I think there's going to be a meeting set up in November to kind of discuss where that money and the areas to utilize that, because it's actually got to be qualified in certain areas. We're going to have that discussion in the future. And then also, it's nice to finally say that Nova Consulting was assigned to the solar project. So you'll probably see some of that starting, I'm thinking in November. From the last that I had heard.
And just a thought, we may want to cross paths with Doug on that one, just to make sure. I don't think they're going to intersect, but we just need to double check
that.
with Doug.
North
Yeah.
of the school.
The north.
On the west side of the ditch,
Yeah.
north of the elementary.
But I just want to make sure that when they have vehicles and things, it might just be something worth, and now that the company's actually been assigned and they're going to start in November, I think it's definitely worth just having that path marked and
Yeah.
Doug knowing and having conversations about it. It's just another factor of someone out there.
They should be.
It was a great meeting for you to come. We got all these things we can talk about. No, it's perfect timing.
That was it for finance.
Any questions? Move on to Facilities Committee.
Yep, facilities, we met September 27th, and we had a visit from 2 residents that live just north of the new field house, Russ being one of those in the Stonehenge Lane area. And we seen some pictures of where water had been running off from the parking lot in the new build. I think those were a little bit aged, right, Russ? They were maybe a year-old pictures, but I think some catch basins, Mark, have been added, and you probably know some of this, but it looks like there's been some countermeasures to that, and some catch basins are there, so.
Yeah, the county did do calculations on storm runoff and basically said that low area between the buildings should be adequate to hold whatever. I don't know I can't tell you what, storm event they use for that, but they have a certain,
Probably 100 years.
I don't know if it's 100-year or not, but,
We've had 2 or 3 of those in a row.
yeah. We're all older than we thought. But, and then we did add that, yeah, not really a wall, but that dike. Yeah,
Bunker.
I don't know if that's a good word for it, but change the elevation there along the housing on the far north side of that to add a little bit of capacity in there as well.
Like Mr. Henson's done at this point, it seems to have helped.
Yeah, well, and, you're right, and we did add, there is a new outlet line from the catch basin in the low of that, and then there's another catch basin at the east, about at the east end of the building, out in that low, and then it goes down to the open ditch, which was a new source of flow going away from there. So I think, we obviously added some roof and added some pavement as well, but I think all in all, I think the calculations were done, and I think it should work well. I think it should protect those
And I had a
houses.
chance to speak to Ryan again Friday night.
Yeah.
And we discussed the fact, that it has helped a little bit. He assured me that if that doesn't solve the problem, that he's not going to leave it.
Yeah,
I mean, he's going to take care of whatever.
yeah.
So,
And I actually went up there Sunday. I hadn't been up there since they got done with all the concrete out, the aprons and stuff, and looks like pretty much all the excavation's done, and maybe just a little seating needs done, but looks nice.
yeah, they've already received it, but we haven't had enough water to make it grow, so maybe today will.
Yeah, yeah. And the pathway's back and connected again, and
Looks good.
so, yeah, I think the whole thing looks really nice.
It does.
One thing I thought was maybe on that big
Oh,
white
no.
wall, so
Gonna want mine.
we need one of those wildcats up
Mural.
there.
Oh,
That'd
murals.
be-
We have
that'd
big
look
cat.
really
We have
cool.
good people that can do that. That's okay.
On the outside, that'd
Big
look
cat,
good. But yeah, I hope that puts minds at ease of the folks there. I know it's kind of a big change in their backyard there, so, but I think it should be good.
That's good. That's all I had.
All right, extracurricular, we failed.
We have not met, we can't find a good time, so my suggestion is if we can't get a meeting for November, we need to invite Mr. Purcell to give us an update, if that's okay, because I think that
That might be a good
sports seasons will be concluded for the fall, and he'd be able to fill us in on all the gaps. So I think we still need to try to find a time to meet for November, but let's also invite Mr. Purcell so that he can share out what we've missed the last couple months.
Now we have a special guest for our Career Center report.
It's one of the two
Mr.
reasons
Russ
I'm here
Beard.
tonight for the Career Center report. I wasn't expecting the other. First off, I want to thank Ms. Stryker for giving you guys the reports and updates when I'm not here, because I don't make it here every month. She shares information that I share with her, and I send you guys all the reports that I get every month. So hopefully you're able to keep up with that and whatever. But I just want to let you know that things are going well on the main campus and our satellites for Kenton City Schools. We have 22 students enrolled in various courses on the main campus in Bell Fountain from Kenton. There are 201 students enrolled in Kenton Middle School in IT and engineering manufacturing, and 308 students enrolled at Kenton High School in the ag program, allied health, IT, and engineering and manufacturing. And I believe Ryan's one of our instructors for IT, aren't you?
Not anymore.
Not anymore? Wow. Is that Mr. Rigsby?
Yes.
Okay. Yeah, Justin Rigsby is one of our instructors, and Jared Manns, Aaron McDougal, Amanda Bookmeyer, she's the Allied Tech, or Allied Health, and Emily, it used to be Emily Burns, but it's Emily Flack. She got married over the summer. She's our ag teacher. And she's been very busy this year, after an extremely busy summer with the ag business classes. And she's had many students participating in various conferences and judging and competitions, and they've all done pretty well and having good success. And she also hosted at the FFA District 6 Fall Meeting. The rest of the instructors are all busy as well. As far as a high point financially, we are strong. Even though our proposed budget for 2019-20 shows a deficit of $4,900 for the year, If this figure holds true, we will end the year with a cash balance of $8.5 million after all revenues and expenses are completed. So we're sitting on pretty solid ground there. In August, Superintendent Smith and our treasurer, Eric Adelsberger, went to Dallas, Texas for our bond, to sell bonds for our building project, and they were successful at selling $34 million worth of bonds while they were there. And that will cover the $30 million base price for all of our new additions, and also will cover 2 alternate bids that came in, one for the diesel lab at $1.2 million, and then another large meeting room added to it for another $2 million. And then there were some other changes in the site's plans that we need to cover, but the total estimate is going to come in at $33.5 million, so the 34 will cover that. We're still a year away from starting construction of the building and renovations, and I'm sure you've seen the estimates, but the PI levy that was passed back last fall or last year is going to generate approximately $1,950,000 per year. So that will cover what essentially our annual payment of $1,560,000. And then there's also the $300,000 to $350,000 per year that is earmarked for the satellite programs to upgrade programs and do the additional things that we promised, we would do for them. So with all that being said, we will have enough money to cover that. The administration, staff, and architects, and the construction manager meet frequently to iron out the wants and needs of the construction process. And having gone through that here several years ago, I know exactly what they're going through, and that's a lot of fun. But it's all worth it, believe me. I just want to say it's been a great pleasure to serve as your representative on High Point. I'm still the rep for the past 2 years after I went off of our home board, but I've served 16 years on the High Point board, and I'm very pleased with the time I've had there. My last meeting will be December 18th, and I've received a wealth of education that will serve me well in my future endeavors. And thank you for the experience, and I wish the next representative the same pleasures and experiences that I received during my 4 terms. Serving our students and staff at OHP has brought many rewards, and I feel their educational needs are stronger than ever in sending them out for successful careers and life experiences. Thank you, Mr. President. That's my report. Any questions?
Anybody have any questions?
I'm good.
Appreciate your service there, Russ.
Thank you.
Thanks.
And just
Done well.
about our next representative, so tonight in executive session, we'll review applications. And then in November, we'll actually make a recommendation for who that person would be, and then we would send that to High Point, and then they'll acknowledge that as the process.
That's my second
So,
reason for reading
yeah, so those are the pieces.
All right. Policy committee?
I don't think we met again, but you will see that on item 11 there of the policies that we kind of discussed last month, just kind of get us in line with all of the Neola changes that was going on, so.
And the only thing that I'll mention is that as we're going through this process of really doing in-depth study of policies, this is a great committee. We're finding that our 1,000 number, which is our administrative number, had a lot of holes. So where you'll see policies under classified and certified, and I'll just use the example of tobacco. The administrative was missing, so there wasn't a 1,000 level to that. So over the course of this year, you'll probably see a lot of 1,000 level policy numbers as we're just filling in the gaps of those administrative policy that we just want. So it's the same policy, but in 1,000 level it says this is for administrators, and for or is it for 2,000? I might have the wrong number. Oh, I think it's 1,000. And then for 3,000, it's a classification, and 4,000 is a classification. One being certified staff, which would be teachers, and one being classified staff, which would be things like bus drivers, cafeteria, secretary, custodial, educational assistants. So you'll just see, I think, some of that grow this year as we work through filling those gaps.
Okay.
That's it for committee reports. We don't have any old business, so now a motion to go into executive session to discuss details of specialized security arrangements.
Stryker.
Stryker, second.
Rush.
Have a vote, please.
Yes. Yes.
Mr. Watkins?
Yes.
Mr. Garmin?
Yes.
Mr. Rush?
Yes.
Time in 7:24.
You won't need chairs, it shouldn't be, but
11. Move on to new business, item 11. A through C, we have policy updates, contract with Madison Champaign ESC, and approving our emergency operation plan. We need a motion, please.
Rush.
Josh?
Carmine?
Carmine seconds. Any discussion on those? Jennifer already kind of walked through the policies, and then
We did have a student that is now at Racket Cheek that needs a 118.
okay, that's specific.
that
was Okay.
Yeah,
for.
okay. All right.
I'm in that emergency operations plan is the confidential plan with, that we upload to
Yeah.
the state and with our law enforcement,
Okay.
first responders, so we do that annually.
So if there's no discussion, no more discussion, we'll have a vote, please.
Mr. Watkins?
Yes.
Mr. Carmine?
Yes.
Mr. Rush?
Yes.
Ms. Striker?
Yes.
Item 12 is personnel items. Go through them. Some substitutes, some volunteers who we greatly appreciate. Coaching additions, and assistants. Need a motion?
Stryker?
Striker,
Rush.
any discussion on those? If not, we can vote.
Mr. Carmine?
Yes.
Mr. Rush?
Yes.
Ms. Striker?
Yes.
Mr. Watkins?
Yes. 13, we have another opportunity to go into executive session
With chairs.
with chairs
With chairs.
and Russ Boone. This is to review our applications for the representative to High Point.
To High Point.
And there will be no more action afterwards. We have a motion, please.
Stryker?
Second?
Carmine? Neither one.
We'll go
Doesn't
with Rush
matter.
this time.
You guys, you
Okay, Carmine last time. Vote, please.
Mr. Rush?
Yes.
Ms. Striker?
Yes.
Mr. Watkins?
Yes.
Mr. Carmine?
Yes.
Time in for this one is 7:40. Our next meeting is November 18th here at 7 PM. And like I said, no more further action after our executive session. Thank you for being here.